but he was also putting a bunch of dough into companies like Vox, The Intercept, ProPublica, the Law and Justice Journalism Project, and most recently Semaphore, which is that's the Ben Smith organization, right? In any event, formerly of the New York Times. So he put a bunch of money in all these left-leaning, some would take issue with that, but organizations, and many of them then went on to cover him very favorably or got the money right after they did a favorable piece on him. So you can see how the influence game works.
You sure can. And I do find the timing interesting, right? So we went right through the midterms and, what was it, 48 hours later? Just a few days later, the whole funding machinery of the Democratic Party and all the associated media companies that have been engaged in censorship and partisanship, all along, the whole thing just falls apart. Just very conveniently, a few days after the midterms, that he basically funded through his Magic Bean company in the Bahamas. I mean, there's a lot of very strange things going on here, I would say. Now, maybe it's just a complete coincidence of the timing, but you've got major distortions of political decisions that the American people are engaged in. Thanks to hundreds of millions of dollars of fake money and phony companies and fraudulent activities and Ponzi schemes. You think about it. How much trouble did Trump go through on the Russian investigation to find out how much interference was there? Well, we should have at least that much, sort of focus and intrepid concern for what happened and the relationship here between FTX and the midterm elections that just took place and the entire machinery behind it. I don't know.
What's going to happen with that $10 million? Is Joe Biden going to give that back? His campaign used it. He won the presidency. Now you've got a lot of investors who are going to be hurt as a result of this guy not having the actual money. So does he give it back? Or do these Democratic politicians give back the money?
Clearly not, right? I mean, it's already spent. I mean, they're busy paying off their debts and so on. So the money's been banked. And I don't know, one really does wonder. And that's why I hope we get some investigations. A close look. I'm sure the books are a mess, if there are any. And
by the math scholar.
Right. Yeah. Right. And the elementary school education, of the CEO there. So maybe there were no books at all, and maybe the whole thing was just intended to come and go in 3 years. I don't know. I have no proof of that statement, but the FTX was founded just right after Biden declared in 2019, and in 3 years. And I have people who've been in this industry a very long time. They work very hard to build up company. They keep clean books. They comply with all the regulations. They're serving their customers very faithfully. They do proper marketing. They have a good relationship with their customers. And this punk shows up out of nowhere with all the right connections and loving media coverage of his eventual trillionaire status, the new Warren Buffett, the J.P. Morgan, and God knows what else they called him. And he gives it all, gives away vast amounts of money. I mean, second only to Soros, to the Democratic Party, and the media covering the elections. It's all really interesting. And Megyn, I'm sure you have seen this before, but it shows you just how dopey people can become when they believe that there's a magic money tree out there and that they're going to be able to pluck the leaves off of it at will. And that's why he got a free pass.
Instead of using his MIT education and his obviously brilliant mind to create something that was actually of value, he used it to pay off the relevant people who would expose his fraud. I mean, that's how he used his brilliance. And it was a smart move. The party in power, which he had a hand in putting in power, the media who would expose and cover him, and they went along like lapdogs. I mean, even today, I know this is one of the things that's concerning you, even today, post the Chapter 11 filing, which was Friday, and he's now been exposed as, there's nothing there. People bought a pig in a poke. They did a fawning piece on him in the New York Times, which the Times' critics are talking about as if they wrote something to the equivalent of Bernie Madoff. Well, he made a couple of bad investments, but his heart was in the right place.
That was what the story said. I read it this morning. I nearly fell out of my chair when I read that. How can you do this? Did you cover Elizabeth Holmes this way? Bernie Madoff? I mean, come on. This is a scam. This guy was running a Ponzi scheme and robbing people all over the place. Instead, the New York Times says, well, it's been a tough time in the crypto world, and his company was so successful. It almost like it got ahead of him. I mean, nobody expects that kind of success that fast, and maybe he just wasn't quite ready for it. But fortunately for him, he's getting a lot of sleep and thinking through things. Guys, are you serious? This is the New York Times.
It's unbelievable.
It's unbelievable.
Imagine buying an Italian sports car or your dream home for less than $1 a day. Well, now you can own an X chair. That's the office chair I personally use in my office, and it is arguably the finest office chair in the world for only $20 a month. Yes, that is less than $1 a day. For that amount of money, you can own something that's going to make the hours spent at your house, at your desk, 1,000 times more comfortable and productive. Not only do I love my X chair, Abby's got one. She loves hers too. Kevin's trying to get one, her husband. And Doug's, I'm going to get out. It's mine. From the moment I first sat down on my X chair, I immediately felt the difference. Trust me, once you sit down in an X chair, you're going to understand. There is an X chair for every style and for every budget. They even offer built-in massage. Who doesn't want that in their chair? Not to mention heating and cooling as we go into these cooler months, something you may want, and all for less than $1 a day. Check out all the options and their amazing financing plans at xchairmk.com. That's a letter X, chair, mk.com. No other chair can compare to the X chair. Go to xchairmk.com now. Hey, thanks so much for watching. If you like what you just saw, hit the subscribe button for more clips and full episodes.